It's a beautiful night in New York as summer begins to bridge its way into autumn. And the Mets try and do something they haven't done since, well, it was spring. The last time the Mets won 3 games in a row. They've got a chance to do that at Citi Field tonight. At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Pittsburgh Pirates. Mets baseball is presented in HD by IOTV. Get your HD free with IOTV. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez with you tonight. Ron Darling joins us shortly as the Mets play Game 3 of their 4-game series with the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Mets won last night 9-1. They've taken the first 2 of this series from Pittsburgh, and one of the reasons why they won last night was the stellar play of the 21-year-old rookie second baseman, Ruben Tejada.
Well, Ruben Tejada here has been red hot. He had a big night, and a big night with the glove. That was a fine double play right there, turned by that tandem. This one was absolutely phenomenal. Beautiful turn by Reyes. Nice, beautiful backhand by Tejada. We know about his glove. But, the last 12 games, this young man's been hitting at a 371 clip. And he's got his average finally over 200. He had 3 hits last night. That double right there off the wall. So Ruben had a chance, was actually benched for a while. Now back in the lineup, has made the most of it. And I think he's going to be in there the rest of the way.
So Tejada is starting to roll. He's not the youngest Met. Henry Mejia is, and he'll go to the mound tonight trying to put together a good start. It's his 3rd in the major leagues.
Well, he's 0-4, and he's looking for his first win, and he's struggled a bit, and he's throwing a lot of his secondary pitches, and I really like to see him throw a little more of his fastball. We all know he throws extremely hard, got great movement on that fastball, and that would set up his secondary pitches. But he's going against a Pirate team with 96 losses and looking for his first win.
And Paul Maholm will be on the mound for the Pirates. The lefty is struggling through a very difficult year.
Well, 7-14. They had high hopes for this young man. You see the ERA over 5, and he has just struggled big time. So, it's just one of those years for the Pirates. There's not much you can add on that. It's been so many years of them just struggling and so much high hopes and so much disappointment.
So Henry Mejia pitches for the Mets tonight. They try to win 3 in a row for the first time since the middle of June. Mets and Pirates, first pitch coming up from Citi Field. By Geico. By AT NYN, rethink possible. By Frostbrewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. By Absolute Vodka, the ideal choice for cocktails perfected. Enjoy with absolute responsibility. By Metro PCS, who now has an unlimited BlackBerry plan for just $60 a month. Metro PCS, wireless for all. And by Lexus. Run the bases Sunday at Citi Field following the Mets afternoon game against the Braves with the Mr. Met Dash for all kids 12 and under. For tickets, visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX. Here's your Suzuki Around the Majors for today. This afternoon, Justin Maxwell hit a grand slam in the second inning off Mike Minor. That was enough to lift the Nats past the Braves 4-2. Braves now 2.5 behind the Phillies, who play tonight. The Brewers beat the Astros on a Matt Gamble home run in the 10th inning. Of greater import, Troy Tulowitzki, 2 homers and 7 runs batted in, as the Rockies salvage the finale of their series against the Padres. The Rockies now 2.5 behind San Diego in the National League West. Mets and Pirates playing game 3 of 4. Remember 1969? First pitch coming up. Same crew he did in the first 2 games of this series. After all, they scored 1 run in the first 2 games. John Bowker gets the start in right field instead of Ryan Domit. Otherwise, the lineup the same for the Pirates tonight. Pittsburgh at 48 and 96 coming into the night, and they'll take on the 20-year-old right-hander Henry Mejia.
And Keith, I think you were spot on in that opening. I think I'm going to watch to see if Mejia has command of that fastball to both sides of the plate. And if he does that early in the game, then he can go to his break-in stuff. The key for him, though, when he was a reliever, the hitters were only 6 for 39 with runners in scoring position, 7 for 16 as a starter.
Well, we've highlighted Reyes and Tejada and Davis. Well, we can more or less highlight the 2 middle infielders. What wonderful double plays they turned last night. As I'll spit it out, folks. 3 to be exact. But the first 2 were outstanding. Take it away, Gary. Top of the order.
I think that Keith was a little overwhelmed because he had to analyze the pitchers during the opening tonight. McCutcheon takes a strike from Mejia.
You abdicated that responsibility?
I'll be back at it tomorrow. Every once in a while, you know.
Ronnie came in his golf clothes. Very impressive.
McCutchen 2 for 7 in the series, and he bluffs the bunt and takes the fastball for ball 1. McCutchen at 275 on the season. He has been a bright spot in an otherwise dismal year for Pittsburgh.
Oh, one thing about McCutchen, this is a team with 96 losses. They're going to lose well over 100, and he comes to the ballpark every day and he puts a journeyman's effort in. He hustles, he runs everything out. It's not an easy thing to do. It reminds me of Mookie Wilson back in those lean years in the late 70s.
And a fastball strike from Mejia, 2-2.
As far as the hustle is concerned.
Henry Mejia 0-2 with a 10 ERA through his first 2 starts. Got beat up by the Phillies on Friday. 6 runs and 9 hits over 4 innings. Attacks with the fastball, and McCutchen hits it well out to right center field, but Pagan has room to run it down for the first out of the night. Long fly ball by McCutchen, 1 away.
Well, Pagan can cover. We know that. A piece of Del Monte for him.
You know, it's interesting, though. The first batter, right-handed batter, already shooting that ball to right field, right center. That has seemed to be the way they attack Mejia.
Ronnie, can you account for the lefty-righty splits for Mejia so far this year? He's been dominant against left-hand hitters and anything but against the right-hand hitters.
Yeah, he's got a cut on his fastball. He doesn't sink it very much, so every ball is running away from the right-handed hitters. That makes it much easier to hit. There's only half of the plate. As opposed to the left-handed hitters, that fastball at 95 is running in on them, in on their hands. That's why there's the unusual split.
Jose Tabata hits it out to right center, not as well as McCutchen, and Don has recorded the first 2 putouts of the night.
2 Del Montes.
The first one wasn't a Del Monte, was it?
Oh, Pagan is a Del Monte. So that's what I meant. It's a compliment.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now here's Neil Walker, who started this series riding an 18-game hitting streak, but has gone 0 for 5 in the 2 games. The Pittsburgh native, the switch hitter, hitting 3rd in the order for the Pirates. Yeah, Mejia throws a fastball for a strike. Walker has started out his pro career as a catcher. Played predominantly at 3rd base in the minor leagues. Really learning to play 2nd base at the major league level. And the curveball from Mejia. Gets it over, 0-2. And he bounces the breaking ball, a ball and 2 strikes.
Very interesting. If you watch Henry Blanco, and he's catching tonight, we thought that was a surprise, or maybe the veteran catcher to try to work Mejia through this outing. But he just called the curveball and then took his glove and pointed it right on the plate to tell Mejia to throw that ball to bounce it.
Garrett Jones on deck. Well, interesting, isn't it, that this is Mejia's 3rd major league start, and Jerry Manuel's run out a different catcher with him all 3 starts. First one, he used Mike Nickius, figuring that Nickius had caught him in the minors. He used Josh Tolley in the game against the Phillies Friday, and Henry Blanco tonight. 3-2 to Walker.
That's the only problem with young pitchers, is sometimes when you bounce that one pitch, that's a pitch that sometimes they can't make that pitch on 2-2, so you always have to get to a full count. I'd rather see him pop one inside, 0-2.
Blanco, though, moves away at 3-2. And Walker hits one right to Reyes, who's positioned perfectly near the bag. Guns down Walker, and Mejia's got himself a 1-2-3 open inning. Mets come to bat in the bottom of the first.
post last night when the Mets pounded out 9 runs and 14 hits, predominantly against the lefty Zach Duke. And they will take on another veteran left-hander tonight in Paul Maholm.
Well, you addressed it before, 7 and 14. Not much you can say about that. Maholm has been one of the guys they've been waiting to really emerge as a top-flight starter. He's one of those guys that stays down in the strike zone. He gets a lot of ground balls. He gives up a lot of hits. And, you know, we talked about it last night. This Pittsburgh team doesn't catch the ball particularly well, and that's tough when you're a contact pitcher.
Reyes has had success against Maholm in the past, 7 hits in 16 at-bats. But Maholm gets ahead of him 0-2. Maholm didn't get off to a bad start this year, but lately it has really been tough for him. His last 10 starts, 1-7 with an 8.22 ERA. Angel Pagan on deck. Reyes looks at this changeup low, and it's 1-2.
You know, when you're in the middle of the season and you're having a tough year, you can still see, boy, you know, I have 15 starts left. If I can win 10 out of 15. And then it becomes 10 starts left. And if I can win 9 out of 10, and then you have 3 or 4 starts left, and you know that you're having just an awful year. And I'm a fan of Maholm personally. I think he's a guy that throws strikes and goes after people.
And of course, like Pirate defense, well, that's okay, I guess. Not too bad. I have not been impressed with this defense. There's not a lot of guys that can cover ground outside of McCutchen in center. Tabata plays a pretty good and decent left field, but boy, the infield has a lot of guys with not a lot of range.
Garrett Jones over near the dugout railing to make the grab, and Reyes retired for the first out.
It just seems like the Pirates are a team with a lot of free swingers. They've got a lot of speed outside of McCutchen, and a lot of guys that swing from their toes. They swing out of their shoes.
Well, it's a Pittsburgh franchise that is completing its 18th consecutive losing season, but they have not had a season like this, a season where they're going to lose this many games since 1953. So things in some regards for the Pirates have gone even further downhill this year. Angel Pagan, the batter, with 1 out, and he takes ball 1. At the same time, though, the good thing about the Pirates right now is they have not been patching with older players who can't be a part of a winning program down the road. They're trying to build through their farm system and work their way slowly uphill.
And they're playing their young players, and you're going to have growing pains when you decide to do that.
The biggest problem for the Pirates is their pitching has just been dreadful this year, particularly their starting pitching, and Maholm's been a big part of that.
But we've seen in this series in the first 2 games where the defense hasn't really helped the pitchers. There's a lot of unearned runs.
Pagan rips a base hit, so Angel, who broke out of a slump with 3 hits last night, has a base hit his first time up tonight.
When you're a single ball pitcher and the ball is about letter high, you're going to be in trouble because the ball straightens out. A nice swing by Pagan, Keith.
Stays level more so from the right side, Ronnie, than the left side on that high pitch.
He had been a little concerned the last few days with Angel that maybe he was wearing down late in his first really full-time season of playing every day. But better signs the last couple of days. Here's Carlos Beltran, speaking of good signs.
Your IoT pitch differential, you see he got it outside, but it's up. Ed Williams told me one time, long time ago, after the 79 season, what's the easiest pitch to hit? It's the ball up and away. It's the shortest distance for the bat to get to the ball.
Beltran fouls one back, and it's 0-2.
You know, when we're watching Maholm pitch here, Snyder's a very big guy behind the plate. It's going to sound like a criticism, but one of the things he could do better is try to get that glove and that catcher's mitt down a little lower. Maholm's the kind of guy that if he throws to where Snyder puts the glove, he's going to be in trouble all night long. He's got to get that glove down, knees or below. Watch where the target is when Snyder gives it. Kind of gets up on his haunches, and that sign is about mid-thigh.
Out to center field, and McCutchen is right there waiting. And Beltran retired, 2 out. Is there a way for a bigger catcher to get low?
Well, we've seen it before when we've watched the Atlanta Braves. Brian McCann is a very big catcher. He sits back on his haunches a little bit and gets that glove down for a guy like Hudson or Lowe to get the pitch down. Some guys can't do it. You know, they might have knee problems. Gary Carter later in his career, it was very hard for him to get the glove all the way down because of his knees.
Uh-oh. Now the Braves are skidding a little further away. And the Phillies with an early lead. How about the pitching matchup in Florida tonight? Roy Halladay for the Phillies, Jorge Sosa for the Marlins.
Not a fair fight.
No. Jeez. So the Phillies with every chance to build a 3-game lead in the National League East.
Call London on that one.
David Wright, 2 for 8 in this series. Pagan with 33 steals on the year, tied for second in the National League. Well, for the second straight night, the smoke is blowing in from center field. The blue smoke.
Well, David has been in a struggle here lately, boy, and you can see right there the 2.5. Phillies a chance to go to 3.
Well, they do have 6 left against each other, but you don't want to get too far back at this time of year.
No.
And the Atlanta Braves have more away than they do at home, and they've been outstanding at home and struggled away.
To get beat the second straight day by the Nats, playing in Atlanta where they've been so good, that really hurts.
That's what happens when you have to throw out a rookie like Minor today. You know, you throw rookies out in the middle of the pennant race, it doesn't always bode well for you.
But the other piece is that the Braves' offense has really disappeared.
They miss Chipper Jones. And even though Chipper wasn't the player he used to be before he was hurt, he's still a force in that lineup. And you just don't have that kind of player in the lineup anymore. You got McCann.
Well, but think about what you've got. You've got a catcher who, you know, it's September and catchers tend to fade in September, and you've got a 20-year-old rookie.
Yeah.
I mean, those are your 2 biggest bats in the lineup. That's hard to rely on in September.
They really got a lot out of the first baseman, Klaus,
for a month.
Actually, almost the whole first half. He played well.
And the 2 clones, Prado and Infante, I mean, they gave them an enormous amount.
But they're table setters. Right. They just need a big bat.
2-2 to Wright. Pagan runs, but Wright strikes out to end the inning. And so Mahalam has his first strikeout. No score after 1. This evening in New York on the last few days of summer in the city. 3 runs the Phillies got off Jorge Sosa in the first inning. Not a home run among them. 3-0 Philadelphia. Here Garrett Jones leads off in the second against Henry Mejia, who fashioned a 1-2-3 opening inning. Jones having the best series offensively for the Pirates, going 4 for 9. He had been struggling big time over the last couple of months, hitting under 200. So a nice bounce back late in the year for Jones, who has 20 home runs for the second straight year.
Since we're looking at scores and talking about scores, Colorado had a huge lead, but San Diego wound up losing that one 9-6.
Adrian Gonzalez hit 2 homers and drove in 5 in defeat for the Padres today.
They took 2 out of 3, and Colorado, they got to feel real good about themselves.
Pedro Alvarez on deck, still looking for his first hit in his hometown, and John Bowker behind him. And Mejia throws the curveball and gets Jones 1-2.
Well, this is the breaking ball you like to see from Mejia. Straight over the top, 12-6.
Running in a perfect world with a guy like Mejia, who has such an electric fastball, what would you like to see his pitch distribution be?
Well, interesting. It'll get where it's more breaking balls as time goes by. What I'd like to see him develop, because he has that beautiful natural cut on his ball, is be able to throw a two-seamer away to the left-handers. Have something that he can run in on the righties occasionally and get some quick outs.
Out to left center, and moving over is Nick Evans. One away. So Mejia's retired the first 4. Let's check out the inside pitch on Henry Mejia, brought to you by the Xerox Business of Baseball. Xerox, ready for real business.
Well, he's showing it so far in this game, the calm demeanor. I think sometimes he gets so excited out there. Certainly can't do that as a starter. He can do it as a reliever. He must work the bottom of the strike zone. He's not a pitcher that you want up in the strike zone unless it's 0-2. And I would like to see him pitch more to contact earlier in the count so he can stay around longer. He's the kind of guy that when you watch him, sometimes he's pitching to strike people out, to embarrass them. Just amass the outs that you need.
Now Pedro Alvarez, whose rooting contingent has become less conspicuous over the last couple of days. He's gone 0 for 6 in this series, but once he gets a hit, I bet we'll hear them.
Well, we don't see him. They had all the yellow T-shirts on before, but I don't see him today.
They had the yellow T-shirts with his name and number. They had the yellow signs.
The upside down signs.
A little more subdued today.
Okay, that's cool.
Just waiting for something to happen.
It's like, would you get a hit?
2-0 the count to Alvarez, who's sitting at 232. And Mejia falls behind 3-0. Alvarez has struck out 102 times in 280 at-bats.
Oh.
Really?
That's dialing 911 right there. Emergency. Send the ambulance. I'm dying.
But it's like you always said, got to keep your head out of the oven.
Oh. Away from the bridges. Wow, that's a lot of strikeouts. How do you do it?
3-1 to the Horace Mann product, and he floats one out at the shallow left center. On comes Evans to make the running play, and Alvarez is denied. 2 away.
It's 4 putouts for left field for Nick Evans already. All right? No.
2 nines and 2 sevens.
2 sevens. I was falling asleep in the first
2 pair.
See, I put the dead man's hand.
Here's John Bowker, the right fielder. Bowker just 1 for 20 since joining the Pirates. Came over from the Giants, and he takes a curveball high for ball 1.
The dead man's hand was aces and eights.
And why was that a dead man's hand?
Because Wild Bill Hickok was holding that 2 pair when he got shot.
I'll remember that next time I have that hand.
That's some important history to know.
Definitely want to discard.
Running from the table.
Discard.
And Mejia throws that cutter by Bowker 1-2. Boy, that thing's got life on it.
It really does. And the left-handed hitters have very bad swings at that pitch inside.
And he's not meaning to cut the ball, right?
No, it's just a natural way that his ball. Dwight Gooden, when he first came up, the ball would at times cut.
1-2 to Bowker. And the curveball missed. 2-2.
No changeup yet from Mejia.
Run that fastball inside again. And he got him swinging to end the inning. First strikeout for Mejia. 6 up and 6 down to start the night. Ike Davis to lead off the bottom of the second with no score. At Citi Field for an evening of great food from award-winning chefs and the chance to meet Darryl Strawberry and Tom Seaver at Teammates in the Kitchen. Log on to teammatesinthekitchen.com for more information. Look at the row in front of the Acela Club. That's a great seat right near the left field foul pole. Ike Davis leads off the home second and takes a strike from Paul Mahalam.
So he's left-handed and throwing a lot of breaking pitches to Ike Davis. Zach Duke last night.
Ike struck out in his 2 at-bats against Duke last night. Still hitting .308 against lefties this year. And Mahalam just misses the corner, 1-1.
They're still pitching Ike away predominantly. He didn't chew that tobacco before he first came up, did he? It's kind of it's a new thing for him.
It's a big league chew.
That's right.
1-2 to Davis. I don't think they're allowed to chew tobacco in the minor leagues.
No.
I think it's banned.
Really? Yes. What about your First Amendment rights? You can do anything you want in this country. They can't tell you
Not when you sign a contract, you can't.
what's going on.
2-2 to Davis.
I never chewed.
You're not going to be able to smoke in the parks in New York soon either.
Well, that's okay.
That's okay.
I chewed tobacco once.
Where does Keith draw the line?
I never liked chewing tobacco. I never did. Ronnie, did you ever chew?
Yeah, I did every once in a while, but I didn't like the guys did the snuff stuff. They put in their, yeah, I didn't like
Between
that.
your cheek and gum.
I didn't like that.
So were you a bubble gum guy, a sunflower
No,
seed
I
guy?
never liked having anything in my mouth when I played. Unless I was really dry, then I would chew gum out in the field. If I was really dry in a day game.
Mike pops one up in foul ground. Jones trying to figure out where it's going to come down, right at the railing, but too far away. Yeah, no flipping him.
Only I can make that play.
The wind, as it was last night, is gusting in from left field and tends to blow that ball toward the stands on the first base side. interesting last night. We were watching the wind blowing in from left all night, and after the game was over, R.A. Dickey was talking about how he felt like the wind was blowing in his face.
Wow.
And I can only wonder whether that wind was bouncing off the stands and coming back out at him.
Good for the knuckleball if he's feeling that wind in his face.
He was saying that's why he was dancing so much last night. And that takes the breaking ball away, and he's worked it to 3-2. R.A. was spectacular again last night.
He's got a chance to win 14 ball games. Got 3 more starts, right? Not here all year. That's pretty good.
His next start will be Sunday against Derek Lowe in the final game of the series against the Braves. 8th pitch of the at-bat to Davis, and he bounces one foul.
It's not only what he's done on the field. He's just been a breath of fresh air off the field. He's been, as Keith mentioned last night, just such a team-oriented guy. And also, just every time you see him, he's upbeat. He's got a smile on his face. He's, prodding his teammates to do better. He's just a real leader.
Very competitive in his at-bats,
yep.
Even though, he's not a classic hitter by any means.
He's happy to be here. He's worked hard to come back. He's not a complainer.
And Ike takes outside. He stopped the swing, and it's ball 4. That's a real good at-bat for Ike Davis. And he gets aboard leading off in the second. I like the other thing that R.A. said after the game. We were talking last night about whether the Mets should sign him to a multi-year deal, and I think he was asked about that kind of thing, and he said, I can't take anything for granted. He said, with what I've been through, he said, other people have had other courses in their career, but with the course that my career has taken, I can't take anything for granted. I have to concentrate on living the next 5 minutes well. I thought that was very well put.
Yes.
Here's Nick Evans, who had a big night last night, including his first home run of the year in a place where home runs rarely go in this ballpark. Into the black in center field.
It's pretty much straight up with Nick. I thought our director had a great shot of the apple coming up on Nick's home run, too. At the side angle.
Double play ball right at Ronnie Cedeno. Has trouble getting out of his glove, and they still turn 2. As Walker turns it over, 6-4-3.
Well, just had a tough time in the exchange, but they got him. No doubt about it.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Henry Blanco will step in. The Marlins got a run off Roy Halladay in the bottom of the first. Dan Uggla, who's having a terrific year, an RBI single. 3-1 Philly after 1.
Cincinnati up 4-0 in the first. 4 runs in the first. They're still hitting.
Well, the Reds are an interesting case. They're only 5-8 in September, but because the Cardinals have failed to take advantage, they still have a 7-game lead.
Daniel Hudson beat the Redlegs last night.
He did, but it almost came apart. Did you see the catch Justin Upton made with the bases loaded at the end of the game? He's a remarkable athlete. Blanco grounds out to end the inning. Henry Mejia back to the mound for the 3rd with no score.
Nice table manners.
That's good to see. Since we're peering in at their dinner.
That's our director for you.
Ronnie Cedeno leads off in the third inning for the Pirates in a scoreless game. Andrew Mejia's gone 6 up and 6 down to this point. And Cedeno shoots one foul, 0-1. Cedeno 1 for 6 in this series, hitting a .242. Cedeno's had a pretty nice year in certain respects, but here's a guy with a .282 on base percentage who struck out 99 times. Bounce for Tejada. Plays it on the backhand, and then the bad throw enables Cedeno to reach safely. So Tejada, who was brilliant defensively in the game last night, makes the errant toss, and the Pirates have their first base runner.
Well, another beautiful backhand, just a poor throw. I think what happens with young fielders, as soon as they can't get that ball in their hand, panic sets in. That's when you get the tough throw.
It's an error all the way against Tejada. So a leadoff base runner for the Pirates. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
You know, guys, we started something last night. Hope to do it a few more times for the end of the year. Just kind of taking a look at the future of this Mets team and the organization and what the Mets have in the farm system. And last night we took a look at some of the outfielders that are kind of close to maybe being at a major league level. As that one gets by and Dano down to second. So we take a look first at the incumbent Met outfielders who will likely, at least at this point, be the starters for next year. You see Bay, Beltran, Began, their numbers, their money, everything about them. We told you about Neuenhuis and Ratliff last night. Well, tonight you take a look at some of the other guys that are maybe a little farther down in the system that have a lot of talent. And I'm going to start with a 19-year-old out of the Dominican Republic. He had a great year in Savannah. His name is Cesar Puello. And this is a guy that really had a tremendous second half, especially. Batted 46 points, raised his average 46 points to over 300, finished the year at 292. And I talked to a scout about him. He's a center fielder. He's a pretty big guy, 6'2", about 200 pounds. And the scout had glowing things to say. He said, bar none, he's one of the top 2 players in the Mets organization, and it's not even close. He said, you combine his talent with his work effort, it's one of the best that I've seen. I mean, just glowing things. He said, I'll give you an example about Puello and how he will not settle for anything, as Reyes will have an attempt on Snyder to retire him. And he said, you know, he works incredibly hard. He's got good talent. He's got good speed. But for me, the example is this. You know, he's still learning English. He doesn't allow anyone to speak to him in Spanish, whether it's American players that know it, whether it's the coaches that know Spanish. He refuses to let them speak to them in Spanish because he wants to learn the language. So it's not just hard work on the baseball field. It's everywhere. His name, Cesar Puello, guys. So a little farther away, but a guy that we could see on the horizon.
You know, Kevin, every time I've seen a scout this year to talk about players in the Mets farm system, I'll start talking about a guy like Neuenhuis, and the scout will always turn the conversation to Puello. Every scout that sees him feels as though this is a special guy. His speed is off the charts, 45 stolen bases this year. His other tools may not be great, but his makeup is just terrific.
And that's the key. I mean, he doesn't look like a guy who's going to hit for tons of power, but he has those intrinsic, inherent things that he has that scouts love. Hustles all the time. Just has those things that they think at some point, great baseball instincts. And you don't always see that out of great athletes.
You know, we were talking last night about Neuenhuis and Ratliff, that they were players who had been used in center field but weren't necessarily center fielders. Puello, though, I think is a guy you can say is a legit center fielder.
Yeah, and he might be a legit center fielder and a leadoff hitter someday.
You know, Gary, that's a good point about Puello. And, you know, Mets do have another one in the organization who's definitely a purebred center fielder, too. And that's a guy who had an outstanding year in Brooklyn, Darryl Siciliani. We take a look at Puello and Siciliani and also Corey Vaughn, who also played in Brooklyn. I'll get to him in a moment. We take a look at their numbers. And Siciliani is a guy they drafted in 2009 in the 4th round and just played rookie ball last year, but hit .351 this year, which led the New York Penn League by 21 points. That's how good his year was. And you know, he really is, you know, he played for Wally Backman. He's a Wally Backman type guy. I mean, first game of the year, he's in center field. He races to the wall on a bullet in the left center field gap and slides into the wall to make a catch. I mean, he's that type of guy. Great speed, great instincts in center. He's a good doubles type hitter, that type of thing. But I think the thing that really helped him, you know, a lot of guys struggle when they go, you know, from college to the New York Penn League because it's the first time they're really using a wood bat. Siciliani played in a wood bat college league. And when we did the Cyclones games, I talked to him, and he said there's no question. It got me so used to it because, I knew, if I get a pitch in the hands, I'm going to get jammed. I was so comfortable coming here. So I think that's something that played into his favor as well. But he can go get it in center field, guys.
That's an excellent point. He did with Bryce Harper, the first pick of the draft this year for the Nationals. He went to junior college to play with the wood bat. And the thing that jumps out at me about Siciliani, I mean, you look at his body, he doesn't look like a fast guy. Not quite Kirby Puckett, but you know what I mean? He doesn't have that sprinter's type look. He had 12 triples this year in a short season league. That's amazing.
Yeah, Columbia Basin Community College is where he went to. That league has only wooden bats.
Ball 4 in Mahalam. The pitcher draws a walk.
Kevin was talking about Corey Vaughn and the numbers he put up in AAA, and he's got the pedigree, of course. His dad hit, 52 home runs one year for the San Diego Padres, Greg Vaughn. And, Gary, you were telling me an interesting story about Corey Vaughn, that he can get places that other people can't.
That's an excellent point. Through his dad, he wound up working with Derek Lee in the offseason, and Lee was teaching him a drill where he hits a ball off a tee to learn how to not just hit the ball the other way, but to drive the ball the other way. I mean, it's fascinating when you see the kids who have major league pedigree. They seem to have a little leg up. We've seen that already with Ike Davis this year, and Kevin, Corey Vaughn may be another one of those guys.
It's great job by you, Gary, on that story, and I'll back it up because I did a couple Cyclone games this year on SNY like I usually do. We did the second game of the year, and his first at bat, he took one the other way to right at Keyspan Park for a home run. And if you've ever been there, it is really hard to hit a home run to right field because you get the wind coming off the ocean. A very difficult place to hit a home run. I mean, this is a guy that's got power the other way. I mean, 14 home runs in that park is an extraordinary amount. It really is. And another interesting story about Vaughn. He's a diabetic, so he actually wears an insulin pump in his backside, and he's been doing it for years. He's used to it. I asked him if he feels it, especially when he slides. And he said, "You know what? I don't. I'm kind of used to it, and I usually slide on the other side." But just another obstacle for Corey Vaughn.
Two of the players for the Cyclones were type 1 diabetics. One was using the insulin, and
concerned about Henry Mejia, and it looks like he's coming out of the game. All of a sudden, Mejia losing his command, walked Mahalam, threw 2 balls to McCutcheon. And there is something amiss with Henry Mejia, and he's coming out of the ball game.
It looks like Dan Walton pointed towards the shoulder. Oh, he felt that, didn't you? Yes, he did.
Well, remember, he had shoulder problems earlier this season when he was down in the minor leagues after he made his first 2 starts. They shut him down for the better part of a month. I have no idea whether this is related, but Mejia is exiting the ball game after 2 1/3 innings.
When I watched that, it almost looked like he had something that happened to his back. It almost like a spasm in the lower back or something.
So Raul Valdez will come into the game. He'll get as long as he needs to warm up, with Mejia leaving because of injury in this scoreless game in the 3rd. The call to the bullpen is brought to you by Lincoln Mercury. We'll be right back. Sella Express, where you can plug in and work or sit back and relax. Book now at Amtrak.com. MyBob's Discount Furniture, now open in Manhattan off the FDR Drive at 117th Street. Go to mybobs.com for details. Today's ARC Doctor of Distinction is Neeti Dubey. ARC is the region's leader in cancer radiation treatment. Log on to advancedradiationcenters.com. Visit the official online shop of the Mets at Mets.com. Browse the largest selection of official gear, including the latest apparel, nostalgic memorabilia, and authentic classics for the whole family. Get your gear from the official source, the Mets.com shop. Accept no substitutes. Here's your Mets' upcoming schedule. Remember, all Mets games on SNY are available in HD, presented by IOTV. And if you're not near a TV, listen to every Mets game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. Final game of the series tomorrow night. Mike Pelfrey goes for his 15th win against Charlie Morton. Then the Braves, stumbling their way further down the standings, will be in over the weekend before the Mets go on their final road trip of the year to Florida and Philadelphia. Henry Mejia leaving the game because of injuries. Let's look.
It's after the pitch.
I'm with you, Ronnie. Looks like he came up short with some kind of back issue.
We'll have to see.
But we'll have to wait for official word before we speculate anymore. Raul Valdez, who last pitched behind Mejia against the Phillies last Friday, will come on long relief.
Yeah, 5 days ago, gave up a couple of runs in that game. Valdez, if you remember right, he's the pitcher that came in after John Mayne after 5 pitches and came in and pitched 5+ innings. So he's used to this emergency service.
And that's really been his greatest value to this team, his ability to come in and throw multiple innings at any given moment. So with 2 aboard and 1 out, he inherits a 2-0 count on Andrew McCutchen. So if McCutchen walks, it would be charged to Mejia. Holland with the jacket on and a not cold but cool evening. And Valdez throws ball 3 inside. So McCutchen with a big advantage with Jose Tabata on deck. The Pirates have scored just 1 run in 21 innings in this series, and looking to break through here with Valdez on in relief of Mejia. Fastball strike. Mejia threw 42 pitches over 2 1/3 innings. Didn't allow a hit, but is responsible for the 2 men on base. The 32-year-old Cuban rookie delivers inside, ball 4, and the bases are loaded. So the walk is charged to Mejia. So he gives up back-to-back walks, as it turns out, to Mahalam and McCutchen. And now the bases are loaded with 1 out for Jose Tabata. Tabata fly to right his first time up. 1 for 10 in this series. Former Yankees prospect who came over in the deal for Xavier Nady. And he takes the curveball from Valdez for ball 1.
Always love that in a bases loaded situation. The pitcher missing with a breaking ball. Get behind 1-0.
The Pirates have fared far better with the bases loaded this year than the Mets have. 273 as a team with a couple of grand slams. And now Valdez behind Tabata 2-0. Cedeno is at third, Mahalam at second, and McCutchen at first with 1 out. Valdez has thrown 5 pitches, 4 of them out of the strike zone. Out to right field. Tagging is Cedeno. Pagan with the catch. The throw goes to third. Cedeno comes in with the game's first run. Jose Tabata with a sacrifice fly. 1-0 Pittsburgh. Tabata's 28th run batted in. So that run is charged to Mejia. It'll be an unearned run, the result of the Ruben Tejada throwing error that began the inning. And now Neil Walker with 2 out and 2 on. Walker bounced out to short his first time. Mahalam and McCutchen remaining on the bases. so deflating, isn't it, when your starting pitcher comes out of the game like that?
It really is, and it's real deflating when it's one of your young budding stars, and you don't know, what has happened to him. 2 in the 3rd innings, and he's out, and hope that it's not a major kind of injury.
And that's the thing. It's the uncertainty as much as anything else. It could be nothing, or it could be something major. I mean, when Santana was forced to leave his start after 5 innings with a little tweak of a pectoral muscle, who knew that this was going to be something that was going to require surgery that would put it in danger his next season? 2-1 now to Walker.
Injuries are so subtle, The interesting part is that today's world with the MRI and all of those things, you can see every little problem that a player will have. And, Santana, knowing him, he probably could have pitched the rest of the year.
He had every intention of pitching. And I wonder sometimes whether the fact that they can see everything. I mean, anybody who's pitched for 10, 15, 20 years has tears all over the place that they can find. It's a matter of degree, right?
Yeah, if I took an MRI today, it looked like a coal mine. That'd be awful.
Two and two to the switch hitting Walker. And the breaking ball ripped to third, and David Wright snags it to end the inning. So the Pirates settle for 1 unearned run as Valdez comes on and gets a couple outs. Himself a lead as he takes them out into the bottom of the 3rd. Ruben Tejada will lead off against him. An unearned run charged to Henry Mejia. Talk about adding insult to injury. Not only does Mejia leave injured, but now he has a chance to be a losing pitcher as well without allowing a hit.
I left the game in AAA once after 2 pitches, 2-0, strained my hamstring. It wasn't bad. I could have pitched, but they were careful. Took me out of the ball game. Brent Gaff came in, Keith, one of your favorites. He walks the hitter. Next guy hits a 2-run home run, scores 2-0. Took it out.
Were you in shape?
What?
Were you in shape?
Yeah, I was in shape. Yeah.
Sure, after 2 pitches, he had plenty left.
I said, nice going, Gaffer. Bluegill.
Gaffer. I love Gaffer.
Ruben Tejada, coming off his big night last night, leads off against Mahalam. Ruben is 4 for 5 in this series. And as Keith mentioned so astutely in the opening, over the last 12 games, he's hitting .371.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
And it's funny how one game can change everything. All of a sudden now, it sounds as though Tejada's going to play every day the rest of the way. Pushes the bunt, out to get it Snyder, and he throws it down the line. And Tejada is called out for running out of the baseline lane.
He was inside the lane.
The home plate umpire makes the call. Andy Fletcher.
It's the right call.
Saying that he was not within the required 3-foot lane that goes the last 45 feet down to first base.
Well, in the early parts, he's running on the grass. You cannot run in the grass. Look at that. That is absolutely the correct call. He stayed on the grass.
And that's one of the dangers when you push the bunt to the right side, because when you carry it with you, the ball's right in front of you and it brings you into fair play.
That's clearly inside the line.
Of course, even if you do run in the lane, which nobody does, by the way, you still have to go into fair territory to touch the base.
But what he had to do, though, is that when he was on the grass early, he needed to start to work his way over to near that box, and they wouldn't have called him.
Put out goes 2-3. And so Tejada's retired for the first out of the inning. And now Raul Valdez, who's a .500 hitter in the major leagues, will bat against the lefty. Valdez had his first big league hit in that 20-inning game against the Cardinals in April. When given the opportunity, he's looked great swinging the bat.
How's that scored?
2-3. Just as though they had completed the play. Cedeno plays that big hop and throws out Valdez 2 away. So Mahalam doing what he does, keeping the ball on the ground, and he's gotten the first 2 outs in the third.
That being said, and being called out, it's nice to see Ruben doing those kind of things. You know, pushing the bunt.
Of course, the Mets many years ago, in a game that mattered quite a bit, got the benefit of that play not being called an out. 1969, Game 4 of the World Series, with the potential winning run at second base in the 10th inning. J.C. Martin lays down a bunt. He is running out of the lane, gets hit by the throw. Rod Gasper comes in with the winning run. Umpires didn't call it. Mets went up 3-1 and flips the World Series the next day. And Reyes drops down a bunt. Easy play for Mahalam to get him, and that retires the side. So a couple of bunts resulting in a couple of outs as the Mets go down 1-2-3. 1-0 Pirates after 3. Twisted tea, hard iced tea. The Mets defeated the Pirates for their first ever win in 1962. Jay Hook got the win and drove in 2 runs and went the distance.
They were 0-what at that point?
9. Now, there's a little confluence going on between these Pirates and the early day Mets, as Garrett Jones leads off in the 4th. The Pirates come into this game with a road record this year, as that one's grounded in the hole, and Jones has his 5th hit of the series. So a leadoff base runner for the second straight inning for the Bucks. The Pirates have a road record of 15 and 57.
Say that again, Gary.
15 wins and 57 losses.
40 under, over.
No team has lost 60 road games in a season since the 1963 Mets, who lost 64 road games that year. That was more than the 62 Mets, who lost only 62 road games.
You don't even have anything ever to celebrate on the road. You got to go right back to your room.
Well, here's Pedro Alvarez, and he takes a fastball for a strike.
Bed check again.
Well, you know,
that squad.
The beds are always there. I told you.
You can always drown your sorrows.
There's more than one way to drown your sorrows.
Alvarez fly to left his first time up. And Valdez trying to pinpoint one, misses, 1-1. Henry Mejia, 2 1/3 innings, no hits, 1 unearned run, 2 walks and a strikeout before leaving because of injury. And that unearned run has him in the hole. And we'll wait for a medical report on Henry. Blanco moving away. And the breaking ball misses, 2-1 to Alvarez. Pedro Alvarez, number 2 overall pick in the draft 2 years ago, coming out of Vanderbilt University by way of Horace Mann High School. Valdez just missing, 3-1.
Valdez is a little off so far in this game. He's usually a strike machine.
He's a little perturbed at Andy Fletcher's strike zone right now, too.
Well, he's got a pretty tight strike zone, does Fletcher. Mike Everett, who umpired the first game, had a nice strike zone.
That's how you get a 1-0 game.
Sure.
2 to Alvarez. Well, Alvarez has been a strikeout machine, so pretty sure bet that Jones isn't going to run here. With 3-2 and nobody out. There's foul back.
Boy, oh boy.
Three-two. Fouled again. Did you want to elaborate on that?
Ronnie was talking in the talkback, and I thought he was talking to me. And I think, normally we can't hear each other, folks, when we test the talkback. Ronnie's talking to the truck. But I happen to overhear it, my acute hearing. And I thought it was a conversation, so I said, boy, oh boy. So, forgive me.
It's okay.
Oh, driven in the air to deep right center. Back goes Pagan near the wall, jumping, but he can't get it. He goes down in a heap. Around third comes Jones. Jones is in to score. All the way to third with his first hit of the series is Pedro Alvarez, his first major league triple, and the Pirates have a 2-0 lead. Pagan gets up, and he's all right.
Well, this was a line drive all the way. Crashed into the pad there, fortunately. As far as this, let's see, you always worry about cyclone fences like that. His foot got caught a little bit. You think of Bobby Valentine.
Exactly. Yeah. Bobby Valentine in, was it in Anaheim that he got hurt?
Anaheim.
Broke his leg in 2 places going into a cyclone fence. John Bowker takes ball 1. So a single for Jones, a triple for Alvarez, who gets off the Schneid in his hometown in a big way. And the Pirates are up 2-0. The infield most of the way in. And Valdez again falls behind 2-0. So a rough go of it so far for Raul, pitching in back of Mejia. Alvarez not a burner at third base, so the middle infielders can play a little bit further back than all the way in. And Docker held the swing, and it's 3-0. Phillies have stretched their lead to 6-1 in Florida. They're in the third inning. Chase Utley has a home run. In the air to center. That'll get a run in at least. Back goes Beltran, and he won't get there. It hops up against the fence. Alvarez in to score. Bowker with an RBI double, and the Pirates have a 3-0 lead. For Bowker, just his second hit in 22 at-bats as a Pirate.
Right down Broadway. Bell tie. And one hops the wall. Carlos not able to get to it. Well, that's a pitch right there. That's in a fat part of the strike zone. So a lot of hitters like it there.
So Pat Mish will begin to get loose as Valdez has given up 3 straight hard hits to start the 4th inning. 2 runs are in, still nobody out. And now Ronnie Cedeno. And Cedeno trying to push a bunt. 0-1. Cedeno reached on the throwing error by Tejada, leading off in the 3rd, and scored the game's first run. To Cedeno. Chris Snyder, the catcher and number 8 hitter, on deck. Off the fists, foul ball.
Deep in that kitchen, didn't he? How did you do it? You said fists, plural. It was both fists.
That is very embarrassing for a hitter. Vida Blue did that to me once.
Knocked the bat out of your hands?
Didn't knock it out of my hands, but it didn't break, and I hit a little nubber.
Another one inside, and Valdez goes back to grab it himself. That's the first out of the inning.
Vida Blue, when he came over to the Giants, still threw hard. He wasn't, of course, the Vida Blue of the Oakland A's. Yeah. And it was a cold night in San Francisco, and he started throwing that hard sinker into left-hand hitters. And he hit me on my fist, Ronnie, and one of the few times in my career, usually the bat recoils back towards the catcher when there was contact. My bat recoiled forward, and it didn't break, and it just was like a little number like rolled out a quarter of the way the pitchers. I was so embarrassed.
Did you beat it out?
No, I did not. That by a mile. Are you kidding? I was so embarrassed,
especially in that weather in San Francisco.
Oh. And you didn't wear gloves.
That's right. It was
had some bees in your hand.
Yes, well, beyond that, like sticking your hand in a meat grinder.
Having never stuck my hand in a meat grinder, I'm trying to commiserate. 2-0 to Snyder. And Valdez just having all sorts of problems throwing strikes. 33 pitches, only 17 strikes. That is not like Raul Valdez. Snyder swinging 3-0. Back comes Blanco for a look, but it's out of play.
Of course, for an older pitcher, albeit he's a rookie, for an older pitcher, I think it's even more difficult to get that call. He is kind of not sailing along, but he's early in the game. And this is the first time I've seen Raul throw like this since San Diego, when he had a couple of tough outings there where he couldn't find a plate and he really didn't have his real good stuff.
And the breaking ball misses, ball 4. And so Snyder's aboard. And now the pitcher Mahalam will come up with 2 men on. Here's your AT&T trivia question for tonight. Who was the oldest player to win the MVP award? That's an excellent question. I have no idea. You?
No.
I'll have to cogitate a bit on that.
It's tough.
Mahalam walked his first time up. Mets look for the bunt. Mahalam has 5 hits and 4 sacrifices this year. And takes it off the plate for ball 1. By the way, I'm told, Keith, as you look at the defense, that you exacted some revenge on Mr. Blue.
How?
13 for 35, 371 against Vida Blue.
Okay. It was never easy. Walk Vida, trust me.
Perfect bunt by Mahalam, forcing right to handle. 5-4 on the sacrifice, pushing the runners to second and third. Jonas Schwartz and Joe Beningo will have a preview of Sunday's Jets matchup against New England with exclusive interviews, insider info, and more on Daily News Live, presented by Citi, part of the New York Sports Local, tomorrow at 5 on SNY. So now Andrew McCutchen comes to bat with 2 in scoring position. McCutchen was at the plate when Mejia pulled up lame and had to leave the game in the third. Still waiting for a medical report on Henry. McCutchen subsequently walked it against Valdez, and he takes ball 1 from Raul. 2 runs are home for the Pirates here in the 4th. A 3-0 lead could turn into 5 with a base hit. Dowker and Snyder, not a whole lot of speed between them on the bases. And McCutchen flares one into right. That'll fall for a hit. Dowker is in. Snyder trying to score. Pagan's throw. Blanco trying to reach. Can he tag him? No. Snyder gets in safely, and it's 5-0 Pittsburgh. Snyder wins the dance competition. It's a 2-run single for Andrew McCutchen.
Oh, a broken bat. Nice, a tough hop. The throw was a short hop for Blanco, and he just makes all the effort he can do that. But that's an easy one-hop throw for him. He doesn't have to get down on his knees. He can easily make the tag. So you cannot say this is a good throw from Pagan. He put Blanco in a bad position there. He dropped the ball anyway, going back on the tag.
So 4 runs are home in the inning, and now Jose Tabata takes ball 1. There's your PPG Pittsburgh Paint overhead camera.
He almost landed on the bat. Where is the guy in the on-deck circle that we're moving that bat, Ronnie? Fast asleep. It's like pitchers not backing up bases.
You know, we've talked about that before, but it seems to me there was a time when umpires routinely picked up that bat and got rid of it.
I've seen the catchers pick it up and throw it also.
Maybe it was part of that union agreement they had. The umpires don't do that anymore.
When they resigned, you mean? Someone wants a Tabata.
I mean, that's the job of the man on deck, okay? He almost got your catcher hurt. He could have broke his ankle right there. And that means there's no one there telling him where to dive or to slide or stand up.
He tiptoed very nicely. Check swing tapper. And Valdez makes the play on Tabata to end the inning, but 8 men came to bat, and the Pirates score 4 runs against Raul Valdez. 5-0 Pittsburgh, middle of the 4th. 5-0 to the Pirates. And tonight we're hoping for a third straight win, something they haven't accomplished in almost 3 months. Angel Pagan leads off for the Mets in the home 4th inning. Angel single to left his first time up after a 3-hit night last night, and he takes a strike from Paul Maholm, who must feel like he's pitching for a different team.
Right.
A 5-0 lead.
Looks like the fight. Phil scored a couple more, Gary. They keep piling it on. Halliday pitching 6-1 now.
For this lead to be safe, if you go by averages, Maholm needs one more run. He's got an ERA of 5.37.
Or you can look at it this way: his last 10 starts, his ERA is 8.22, so he needs a lot more than that. Pulled right over the bag, but just foul. Adrian Johnson right on top of the plate to make the call. Never discarded the bag. Good call. Fairly foul. Angel figured, until I know, I'm going to hang on to this bat. I won't need to bend over and pick it up again. Easy pop up for the shortstop, Cedeno. One away. So Maholm's retired 6 in a row. Carlos Beltran coming up. There's your playoff picture up to the moment, with the Braves lost this afternoon to the Nationals, and John Lannon. By the way, Lannon now have a winning record for the season. They're now 2.5 behind the Phillies. Cincinnati leading their game with Arizona 5-3 in the 3rd inning. 7 games up. And the West more interesting with the Rockies' victory this afternoon over the Padres to take the finale of that series after San Diego had won the first 2 games.
Well, the Giants get a win tonight at home against the Dodgers.
Beltran with a base hit.
They will be a half game out in the final 3 games of the season for San Diego. Will be a 3-game series at San Francisco.
It would probably behoove the Giants, if they want to win tonight, to score a run. The Dodgers won last night 1-0, despite accumulating the grand total of 1 hit. It's hard to do.
How'd they do it?
They got an error by Uribe, the shortstop, with the bases loaded.
So it was an unearned run.
It was indeed. Here's David Wright, who struck out his first time up. 1 out and 1 on. And David takes wide for ball 1. Tonight, Matt Cain goes for the Giants. And Chad Billingsley for the Dodgers.
There's no love lost for those 2 teams, and they love to spoil each other. Whoever's on top, the other team just goes in there tough to beat.
Was it 1982 when the Braves and the Dodgers were battling down the stretch? And Joe Morgan, in the waning days of his career, playing for the Giants, hit a home run to beat the Dodgers and knock them out on the last day.
And Morgan came from those Cincinnati teams that were always battled with those Dodger teams, and they did not like each other either.
Now, let me ask you a question. In that particular rivalry, is that a fans' rivalry, or is it a players' rivalry?
The Giants-Dodgers?
Yeah.
It is every bit. It's every bit as much the fans as it is the teams, particularly when they're 1 and 2, when they're battling.
New York-Boston kind of rivalry?
It's St. Louis Cubs kind of rivalry.
Right lines one, and Walker can't reach it, and Beltran will pull on at second base. So the Mets with back-to-back hits as they try and mount a comeback. Davis bats with 2 men aboard. And so a runner to second base for the first time tonight against Paul Maholm. Ike had a 9-pitch at bat and drew a walk his first time up. The only walk Maholm has issued tonight. It was the 1993 season, the last year before they went to the 3-division format. when the Braves and the Giants came down to the final day. Line to second, and that one eats up Walker. Beltran around third. He'll score easily. Bowker can't pick it up cleanly in right field. Wright being held at third base by Chip Hale. The throw goes behind him, and Wright gets back safely. So Walker wasn't tall enough on one ball and wasn't able enough on the second one. And the Mets get their first run. It's 5-1.
Well, that ball just eats him up. You got to think that's Tejada. He makes that play. His sure hands. Wright hustling around, but no chance. They cut the ball off. Didn't get to the wall. Almost rounded too hard, Garrett.
David Wright, safe at third. Safe and secure. New York Life. He was safe at third twice.
Push it.
They scored that a double for Ike Davis, his 31st double of the year, and his 68th run batted in as he bears down on Darryl Strawberry's rookie record for RBIs. He's now just 6 behind.
Well, the pitch is away, and we've talked about Ike not just taking that outside pitch of the Iowa TV pitch differential. He was attacking that outside pitch with results.
So now 2 in scoring position for Nick Evans. The infield back, and the breaking ball sits high for ball 1. Evans bounced into a 6-4-3 double play his first time up. That's with 3 straight hits off Mahalam.
Slight pull in the outfield with young Nick.
Two 2-0. Henry Blanco, who has been struggling with the bat, is due up next, and Mike Hessman has come out on deck to bat for Blanco. Todd Misch ready in the bullpen. 3-0 now to Evans. So Mahalam staked to a 5-run lead. All of a sudden running into difficulties here in the 4th. And Evans takes ball 4, and the bases are loaded. So after giving up 3 straight hits, Mahalam walks Evans on 4 pitches, and that'll get the tying run to the plate for New York. And Mike Hessman will bat for Henry Blanco. This is the luxury of September call-ups. You can bat for your catcher in the 4th inning. Let's have an extra catcher with Mike Nickius available behind Josh Tolley. It's been a struggle for Hessman, the minor league home run king. This would be an excellent spot for him to break out his power bat. Mets have not hit a grand slam since August 1st of last year. Ball 1 to Hessman. Mike has 1 home run. He hit that to right field in Philadelphia.
Let's see too many of these pitchers trying to avoid contact, Chief.
Well, you get behind in the count, that's when big damage happens.
And Hessman takes a rip and fouls it back 1-1. Mike is 2 for 16 as a pinch hitter. Hasn't had much action the last few days. Wright is at third, Davis at second, and Evans at first with 1 out. A run is home here in the 4th. The Mets down 5-1. 28-year-old Paul Mahalam deals the 1-1 and misses badly. 2-1.
He's going to get himself in trouble here. 4-run lead. You got your fielders out there going, got 96 losses. You're killing me. Come on, throw strikes.
Ruben Tejada on deck. Two and 1 to Mike Hessman. And he drives one into right field, base hit. That'll bring in Wright. Davis being held at third. It's an RBI single for Mike Hessman. Now it's 5-2 Pittsburgh, and the Mets have the tying runs on base. So Hessman comes through.
Fastball down, outer half, off the end of the bat. I'm sure Hesman has been struggling. Very happy to have that RBI single. There's someone taking the bat right there. That's David Wright taking the bat. Where's the on-deck hitter?
David got there first.
Wow. Nicely done, David.
Housekeeping. So 5 straight Mets have reached base, 2 have scored, and now Tejada with the bases loaded and 1 out. And Ruben again trying to bunt his way on, this time with the bases full.
Is not a very wise play. Not a wise play. You got the bases loaded. You're down 3 runs. You're the 8th hitter, even though you're going to pinch hit for the pitcher. Swing the bat. You got 3 hits last night.
Swinging the bat better than he's had all season long.
And also, you got a slow runner at third. You get a forced play at the plate. What might have otherwise been a bunt hit could turn into an easy out.
It's all bad.
0-1 from Mahalam. And a check swing. Fastball for a strike. 0-2. Tejada puts himself in a hole. Last time up, he tried to bunt his way on, got the bunt down, but Snyder's throw went down the line, and Tejada was called out for running out of the lane. Good stop by Snyder. 1-2. Joaquin Arias out on deck to pinch hit for Raul Valdez. Davis, Evans, and Hesman the base runners with 1 out. Mahalam ahead 1-2 on Tejada. And he bounces another one. 2-2. Snyder getting down in the dirt. Ray Searage, who took over as pitching coach about a month and a half ago, and Joe Kerrigan was fired. Looking on and hoping that Mahalam can work himself out of this difficult inning. 2-2. Outside, ball 3. So he got ahead on the number 8 hitter Tejada, 2 strikes. And now it's full. With the bases full. Stretching, but no throwing in the Pirate bullpen. Mahalam making his 30th start of the year. Taking the ball every time. The results, though, have not been good. Tejada dribbles one, and that'll go foul. In fact, Mahalam is making his 30th start. It's the 3rd straight year he's made 30 or more starts. He's the first Pirate to do that. 3 straight years of 30 or more starts since Bob Veal back in the 60s. So he's been reliable. He just hasn't been as good as the Pirates would have hoped.
You always have to put things in perspective, though, Gary. This is a team that has a chance to lose 60 on the road. I mean, what do you think your record's going to be as a starting pitcher with this team? It's not going to be 15-8, I'll tell you that.
Tejada dribbles one. In comes Alvarez coming home for the force. It's dropped by Snyder. Davis scores. Evans right behind him. 2 runs come home, and runners are at second and third. It's 5-4. Well, Alvarez did everything right, but Snyder, for the second time in less than a week, just didn't catch the ball on a force at the plate.
It's a nice play by Alvarez. It's a nice throw.
It's almost like Snyder was trying to get out of dodge before he made the play. You can catch this ball two-handed if you want.
Big clank.
The same thing happened to Snyder last Friday in a game in Cincinnati. Dropped the ball for what would have been an easy force at the plate, and the Reds scored the winning run. And now it happens again.
It's called playing yourself right out of town.
Now Joaquin Arias, and he hits one to shortstop on the backhand. Cedeno can't make the play. Throws it too late as the tying run scores. It's 5-5. And the Pirates have imploded here in the fourth inning.
Well, there's not much I can add to this inning for the Pirates. I'm not going to pile on. Too bad it has to be a 4-game series.
Well, I don't think you would be piling on to say that this is a miserable performance by a team that has been struggling for almost 2 decades.
I have seen enough.
2 errors on consecutive plays, given RBI to Arias because the run was going to score anyway. Now Reyes with 2 on and still only 1 out is the 9th man up in the inning. Reyes is 0 for 2, fouled out to first and was thrown out trying to bunt. 7 straight Mets have reached base after Pagan popped up to start the inning. That's a fair ball. Jones makes the play for the 2nd out, and runners are at 2nd and 3rd. Janho Park, the right-hander, Will Ledesma, the left-hander, up in the Pittsburgh bullpen. So now Angel Pagan, who began this inning by popping up to short, will come to bat with 2 in scoring position and 2 out, with the Mets having scored 5 runs here in the 4th to tie the game. The Pirates scored 4 runs in the top of this 4th inning. So Henry Mejia's off the hook. He might be hurt, but he can't lose.
Well, you know, when you can talk till you're blue in the face. You can take infield before the game and extra hitting as much as you want, but if you can't catch the baseball, I mean, you can't play at this level.
Hit hard toward the middle, base hit, and the Mets take the lead. Tejada is in, Arias right behind him. It's a 2-run single for Angel Pagan. The Mets have scored 7 runs in the bottom of the 4th, and they lead 7-5.
Right down Broadway. Nice hitting by Angel. Not a whole lot. Ball's ripped, but I said earlier in the ball game, there's not a lot of range out there in that infield. Iron City.
Well, Mulholland hasn't helped his case here, but it's really the only time as a manager I'd be tempted to take the 8 guys out. Come to the mound and take the whole team out. Jeez.
Second biggest inning of the year for the Mets. They had 8 against the Tigers in a game here in June. Another good stop by Snyder. Unable to catch the ball in the air, but he stopped 3 in the dirt in this inning.
Well, I'm a proponent that when you have those kind of plays, catcher should take his mask off. You just have a better vision of the baseball.
I just don't understand, with a veteran catcher who has a good defensive reputation, how that could happen twice in a week. Once maybe, twice?
I said playing yourself out of town. If you're disenchanted, I can't read his mind, but I've seen players that were unhappy at the place that they're at, and they'll play poorly to get traded.
He just got there. Remember, he was traded from Arizona a month and a half ago. 1-1 to Beltran. And Carlos drives one to right field. That's a base hit. And so the inning continues. Pagan to second. The 6th hit of the inning. They go with a walk and 2 errors. And John Russell will trudge out to the mound, and he's going to make a pitching change. So Mulholland took the mound for the bottom of the 4th with a 5-run lead. He exits down by 2. Janho Park will come on. We'll be right back. Head to Philly to take on the Temple Owls at the Link. UConn at Temple. Coverage begins with City pregame Saturday at 11:30 a.m. on SNY. Chandler Park tries to pick up the mess for Pittsburgh.
Well, he took the loss in that first game. Gave up that base hit to Nick Evans. The walk-off hit, first one in Nick Evans' career. Started his season with the New York Yankees.
Oh, my goodness. Come to the ballpark and tie your shoes? You're warming up with your shoestrings untied? Let's go. Seeing it all here.
John Franco used to do that all the time. When he needed a little break, he'd bend over and tie his shoes. I think Chanho has it all figured out now. Bunny in the hole. First man will face David Wright, who had a base hit earlier in this inning. Carlos Beltran already has 2 hits in the inning. Wright, the 12th man up. And a slider for a strike, 0-1. 6 hits, 2 errors, and a walk. 7 runs in the inning. One and one to Wright.
Those young kids who won the Sterling Award today, they're probably saying, hey, I can play in this league.
Today, the Sterling Award winners were honored here at Citi Field. Lucas Duda was named the organization's Player of the Year. Congratulations to Lucas. Mark Cahoon, who pitched in Savannah this year, threw a no-hitter, named the Pitcher of the Year. 2-1 to Wright, with Ike Davis on deck. And now time is asked for, and the second baseman Walker wants to come in and find out what the signs are. Maybe the sign should be for him to play a little deeper. He's already had 2 balls hit past him in this inning.
Good call here.
And that one knocked down by Snyder. 3-1. Snyder's going to need a vacation after this inning.
Oh, he's going to need a trade.
Now Park behind on Wright, 3-1. And David watches wide, ball 4. And now the bases once again are loaded with Ike Davis coming up. So Park comes in, walks the first man to face him, and with 7 runs already on the board for New York in the 5th inning.
What do you do if you're John Russell over there? Just
punt. I mean, I think what Ronnie said is accurate. I think sometimes you have to take some drastic measures. He's run the same lineup out on the field 3 days in a row. Maybe it's time to think about doing something different. Davis already has a walk and an RBI double. The double brought home the first Met run. That was in this inning. And Ike dribbles one foul, 0-1. Ray Ramirez, the Mets trainer, talking with pitching coach Dan Worthington. And maybe that's good news about Henry Mejia. I have no idea. We have not yet gotten any word on Mejia, who left the game in the 3rd because of injury. 0-1 to Ike, and he takes it high. I'm just saying, the largest inning in Mets history was 11 runs.
Really?
Mets haven't hit a grand slam in a long time.
Go ahead, Ike, get your groove on.
11-run inning was in Chicago. Mets hit 2 grand slams in that inning. Beltran and Floyd.
Was that 2006?
Ripped foul. Here's the injury to Henry Mejia on a pitch to Andrew McCutcheon. Pulled up short.
Under his armpit.
Like his lat, right?
Well, we just got word. We'll bring it to you after this pitch.
Hi, Jay.
2-2 now to Davis. Here's the word on Mejia. He's sustained an acute strain of a muscle in the back of his shoulder while pitching. He's receiving treatment, and he'll be further evaluated with an MRI. So it's a muscle in the back of Henry Mejia's shoulder, an acute strain. And we'll find out more when we find out more, but that's the issue. It's in the back of his shoulder. Two and 2 to Davis. And Ike drives one deep right field. Back goes Bowker. Reaches out to make the grab. And the inning comes to an end. 13 men came to bat for the Mets. In the fourth inning, Ike Davis drove in a run with a double. Mike Hessman came through as a pinch hitter. And Angel Pagan got 2 in. It's 7-5 New York. So far here at Citi Field, Mets were down 5-0, but they put up 7 runs in the fourth inning. 5 of those 7 runs were unearned, and they now lead 7-5. New battery for the Mets as Pat Mish comes on the pitch.
We'll see his number is 0-4 this season for Pat. Had a couple of starts, now he's replaced in the rotation. Only 2 walks in his 22 1/3 innings.
Josh Toley will come in to catch him, and we'll check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin.
Well, guys, we're talking a lot the last couple of days about the Mets minor league system. Well, their minor league pitcher of the year joins me now. Mark Cahoon is here. And Mark, you did something that's rarely done. I mean, you went from having a terrific season in Savannah and jumped all the way to Double-A. What was that like, man? That's a big jump.
You know, it was kind of a confidence shocker for me. I got up there and, you know, I see these hitters with good eyes, you know, pounding the ball anytime it's up in the zone. And right away I thought, you know, can I pitch at this level? And, you know, once I figured out that the game's the same, you know, no matter how good they are, if you do what you were doing successful at the other level, you're going to be fine. And that was the big jump for me. I say as far as my game goes, you know, my stuff was the same, my location was the same, but I just had to learn that sticking with my game plan was going to get me make me have success. So
you had, you know, your last 5 starts down there were terrific. As Neil Walker's going to bounce one to Reyes here. You know, you were a guy that before this year you had a great year dominating in the New York Penn League for Brooklyn the year before. But you were telling me that you stayed behind an extended spring, and you thought that just made an enormous difference for you.
Yeah, as I was saying, I learned the pickoff move, and I wasn't very good at holding runners on. And then in extended, I learned that and learned how to hold runners on, and it made a huge weapon for me. And you know, I also learned more about myself, learning, hey, you know, I got to work hard to get where I want to be. And you know, extended is not the place of choice, but hey, you got to start somewhere.
A little humbling, I guess, right?
Oh, of course.
You know, You grew up outside of Arlington, Texas, and I know obviously you weren't around. Happy 23rd birthday, by the way, Mark. But you went back and you have, since he's so idolized there, you went back and have watched plenty of Nolan Ryan's games, right?
Yes, I was really young when he pitched there, but I watched a lot of his highlights. Of course, he's a strikeout king, and who doesn't like that? And you go to the ballpark, you walk in, you see the huge statue of him, and you can't help but like him.
What was your feeling today? You're down on the field. All the Sterling Award winners are down on the field, taking batting practice, which I don't remember happening in the past. I mean, just did you take a look at the surroundings? Did you take it in a little bit, and what were you feeling?
Yeah, actually, I got on the field. Wasn't thinking about it until about halfway through PP, and I go, "Wow, I'm on a big league field right now." I was like, "This is it's surreal." I was just like, "Hey." Watched the Mets game last night, and then the very next day I'm out there, and walking right by Jose Reyes, David Wright, those guys, and they seem bigger than life until you meet him, like, that's another guy that that is about my age. It's kind of a unreal feel. So,
talk to Mark Cahoon. What will this winter be like for you now?
I just go home, rest, and then get back to working out, getting in shape, getting prepared for next year. Work on a couple things that I need to improve on, and I give lessons to a summer league team, and that's about it.
Nice play by Tejada. Real quick, what do you work on? What do you work on things to improve in the winter? What do you do?
Definitely lower body strength. As far as working out. Always try to get faster, as far as footwork off the mounds, getting to first base. And also, working on a cutter and a slider. I haven't had that in my arsenal, and that's what I plan on having sometime within the next couple of years. Just work on it every day.
Mark, pleasure catching up to you, and best of luck. We'll see you hopefully next spring, all right?
Thank you.
Mark Cahoon, guys, and I think Ronnie especially will appreciate this. When I got here, I said, "Hey, what do you think of the park?" He said, "Wind's blowing in from left." So he took notice of the surroundings. Let's go back to you.
It doesn't matter. Pitchers always think the same. Big ballpark, wind blowing in. Give me the ball.
I don't know. 4 innings, 12 runs here. Has nothing to do with the size of the ballpark or the wind.
That's right.
Sometimes you just can't do anything about it. Matt Mish has retired his first 2 hitters behind 2-0 on Pedro Alvarez, who chases a pitch down, 2-1. Alvarez picked up his first major league triple his last time up, drove in a run. His first hit in this series back in his hometown.
I'll tell you, Keith, I have not seen a series in a long time where fastballs down the middle are not touched. I mean, you can see not getting a hit or fouling it back, but a lot of swings and misses.
It's not like you got Feller, Koufax, and Drysdale, Maddox out there.
Is some of it that at this time of the year, in a game like this, where players in many ways are playing for themselves, that you got guys who are just trying to yank the ball out of the ballpark?
You hope you don't do that, huh, Keith?
It's hard to evaluate. You have to see this Pirate Club play over an extended period of time to see if these guys, this is the way they hit. This is what they do. I mean, they swing out of their shoes. But they certainly have done it this series. I mean, I have not seen swings and misses like this, an abundance of them, in a long time. It's stunning here.
Start. 3-2 to Alvarez. And he whacks one on the ground. Tejada is there. And so Mish gets 3 ground balls, 3 outs in the top of the 5th. We're halfway through now at Citi Field. 7-5 Mets. right field. Wilma Great Neck holds for it. Our friend Yoshi has some of the best and most artistic sushi in town. Just great stuff. Bottom of the 5th inning. Nick Evans leads off for New York. Mets with a 7-5 lead. He takes a strike from Chan Ho Park. The Mets sent 13 men to the plate in the 4th inning and scored 7 times. Evans drew a walk during that big inning and scored a run. Some pieces of his bat fly in different directions as Alvarez throws out Evans. One away. Let's check in with Kevin.
Well, we continue to talk to some of the award winners for the Mets from the minor league system. Kirk Neuenhuis, who we talked a lot about on the broadcast last year, had an outstanding season in AA, finished up in AAA. We got to talk football first because we were talking last night about your football background. And you know, a lot of the scouts say you play with that football mentality. I want to know about the state championship game where you rushed for 267 yards. Is that accurate? Is that an accurate report?
I think so, yeah.
Give me a flavor of Neuenhuis hitting the holes, so I want the details.
Got to hit those holes hard, man. And, you know, I'm not the fastest guy, especially not on the football field, but, you know, just got to hit the holes hard and hope you can knock somebody down.
At some point, you had to know, all right, I'm over 200. I mean, did you have a running tally? And I mean, in high school, you had to know, right?
You know what? It was so cold that day. It was a blizzard. It was like 6 inches of snow, in a couple hours at least. So it was so cold that I think my mind was numb to it too. So I really didn't even think that I got over 200. You know, I'd never been over 200 yards in a game before. So it's cool.
Totally going to grind out as we talked to Kirk Neuenhuis, who before the game got his Sterling Award for his performance at AA this year. We saw you in spring training, Kirk. I mean, and you did well down there. How did that experience help you, and what did it do to kind of motivate you? You know, just getting a chance, getting a taste to be with the major league.
Yeah, definitely. Just getting that little taste, really motivated me a little bit more, and the lack of success I guess I had, the last part of the year in Buffalo and even in spring training, I don't feel like I really showed my full potential, and so, it just made me eager to, go out there and work a little bit harder and stuff like that.
You've been successful, everywhere you've been. So when you get to Buffalo and you finish the year there and you don't have the success you had, what does that mean to you? And what was that like to go through somewhat of a struggle for the first time?
It was a little bit of a tough time, and over the course of the season you're going to have, some struggles. But up there it was a little bit tough because I hadn't played with a whole lot of guys there, and so you got the kind of the first game jitters with a lot of these guys. You got to get over it.
Let me ask you real quick before we let you go with 2 outs in the inning. You went to Azusa State. When you're there, when you're playing, how do you think about getting noticed? When you're at a school like that, a smaller school. I mean, did that enter your head before you were drafted by the Mets in the 3rd round?
Not too much, until my junior year. I didn't really get noticed that much. I think I played in the Alaska Collegiate League after my sophomore year, so I think that's one of the things that maybe got me noticed. That I just tried to focus and play ball, while I was there. So,
Kirk, it's congratulations on the award as Tejada goes down, and certainly we look forward to seeing you next spring. Okay.
Thank you.
Tejada goes down here at Citi Field, where the Mets lead the Pirates 7-5. We're coming back after this.
Sixth inning, Pat Mish starts his second inning of relief. John Bauker leads off for the Pirates and checks the swing and takes a strike. Bauker had a run-scoring double in the Pirates' 4-run fourth inning that helped them build a 5-0 lead. Hit sharply. Tejada can't get to it, and Bauker has his second hit of the night. So a leadoff single for John Bauker. Let's check in with Chris Carlin. He's standing by with the New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. All right, Chris, and if the Phillies win that game, and they're certainly on their way, they'll be 3 games in front of the Braves, who lost this afternoon to the Nats 4-2. Ronnie Cedeno 0 for 2, reached on an error, scored a run, hit a pop up to the pitcher. Henry Mejia started, went 2 1/3, left because of an acute strain of a muscle in the back of his right shoulder. MRI to follow. Certainly not good news, though, for Mejia. Raul Valdez came on in relief. Now, Valdez gave up 4 runs and 4 hits in an inning and 2/3, but he stands to be the winning pitcher in this game because the Mets put up a 7 spot in the bottom of the 4th. We checked with the official scorer, who tonight is Jordan Spreckman, to ask whether he would invoke the briefly and ineffectively rule to deny Valdez a win, and he said no, an inning and 2/3 is too much to let the briefly and ineffectively rule the day.
So it's more of a third or 2/3 of an inning, I guess.
The rule basically says that the pitcher who's in the game when the team takes the lead, that they never relinquish, gets the win, except if he pitches quote unquote briefly and ineffectively. And I guess that's be subject to interpretation. But actually, a few years ago, when they recodified some of the scoring rules, they made it a little clearer what briefly and ineffectively means. And if you pitch more than an inning, you escape the briefly and ineffectively codicil. It's the 1-2 line, a base hit for Cedeno, and so the Pirates have the tying runs aboard here in the 6th.
Be a moot point if the Mets can't get these Pirates out.
Exactly. So that's going to be all for Pat Mish. He pitches an effective 5th, but gives up back-to-back hits here in the 6th, and that'll get everyday Elmer Descends into the game. Pitching change for the Mets. They're up 7-5. We'll be right back. Elmer Descends missed a day yesterday because Ari Dickey threw a complete game, but right back out there tonight.
Almost has that ERA under 2.
44th outing of the year. Chris Snyder bunting and Josh Tolley catching, and that's the first out of the inning. A rough night for Chris Snyder on a number of fronts, and now he fouls out on the bunt attempt for the first out of the inning. Maybe he should walk back to the dugout a little faster. That's just awful. Yeah. What terrible body language. Look at this.
If that happened on my Little League team, he wouldn't play for a week.
Gosh. Now Brandon Moss will pinch hit for Chan Ho Park. First and second and 1 out. Moss appeared in last night's game and went 0 for 2. Former Red Sox prospect, acquired by the Pirates in the deal that sent Jason Bay to Boston. Moss got a lot of opportunity last year with the Pirates, but has spent most of this year in the minor league. Driven out to center field, and Beltran eases over. That's the second out. Tagging, but holding at second base is John Bowker. Wisely so.
Yes.
You don't want to make the third out of the inning at third base like Carl Crawford did last night.
What an ending to a game. Just something you never see for 100 years. You never make the last out at third base, but Crawford with that great speed tested the right fielder for the Yankees, and he came up empty.
Greg Golson was flat-footed when he caught the ball, and if you're Crawford and you're a great base runner, you've got great speed, you have to be thinking to yourself, well, I've got this base easily, right?
Yeah, and he was at full throttle, Crawford, and thrown out bang bang at third base.
Here's Andrew McCutcheon with 2 on and 2 out. And he hits a slow ground ball right to the bag where Wright has the force play to end the inning. So great job by Descends. Comes in, throws 4 pitches and gets 3 outs. That's still up 7-5. Brought to us by Absolute Vodka. Kevin?
Well, guys, we talked a lot about Cesar Puello earlier today and the great year he had in Savannah, and he's a Sterling Award winner tonight, and he joins me right now. Cesar, just 19 years old, and you're here at Citi Field taking batting practice. What were you feeling earlier today?
I feel like just I want to play hard and work for being here. It's something, it's one experience good. What I feel right now, you know, And just that is good example for me, be right here, right now.
It's a good example. Why is it a good example?
Because I see a lot of friends like I've been played before, intrusioner, speed trainer, and they be here, and I say, why if they be here, why I can't be here?
You see this, you come here and you say, hey, I could be here one day, right?
Yes.
Who taught you the game when you were growing up in the Dominican Republic? How did you get into the game? Was there a role model you looked up to that got you to start playing?
When I started playing Dominican, I was aggressive all the time, and the coach when Ivan Novoa taught to me is one coach teach me how to play the baseball, how do the exercise before I sign, and I pay attention and learn quick.
You learned English pretty quick, by the way. I mean, you just got to the country really over a year ago. How did you learn how to speak so well already?
I try to speak, no matter if I miss some words. We learn from that.
You're watching cartoons. That's what you're doing.
Watch a lot of TV and newspaper, just something for learn.
Cesar, let me ask you about you as a player. We talked about you a little bit before. How would you describe yourself as a player to the fans that haven't seen you?
Just one great person, young, but mature, just hungry for play baseball.
Well, I think that says it all, guys. We talked about Cesar and his work ethic before. I think you get a pretty good idea what this guy's all about. And by the way, he's a big dude. We talked about it, only 19 years old. Cesar, great to see you. Congrats, and we'll see you soon, okay?
Okay, take care.
Cesar Puello, guys. Let's go back to you.
Lucas Duda pops one up into shallow right, and John Bowker is there. So Duda, who was named the organization player of the year today, flies out as a pinch hitter. And I liked Cesar Puello's description of himself. Young, but mature, and I love to play the game of baseball. And how great that a young player has the confidence after just a year of absorbing a little bit of English to go on television and do that kind of interview in English.
Well, he didn't have to tell us he's mature. After doing that interview, you know he's mature. That is really something. And for you folks at home, our description of him, just tons of speed, kind of guy that can really do a lot for you in center field. But that was nice to do that with Kevin. Getting to know these young guys.
Reyes drives one to deep right field. Bowker chasing back near the wall, and it's out of here. Jose Reyes with his 10th home run of the year, and the Mets now lead it 8-5.
What a shot. He was racing all the way around second base until he realized that he had a home run.
Well, that's what was great to see, is that he had it full throttle the whole way because he lost the ball as it went into the right field stands. So he's sprinting, thinking triple all the way. The one thing he denied himself was a home run trot. Now he breaks it down.
Well, when you hit it the straightaway right in this ballpark, you can't assume anything with that indentation in the Mo zone. A lot of balls that would go out in other ballparks just don't.
And that's a great thing to say. Hustle all the way.
10 home runs, 48 RBIs now for Reyes. Angel Pagan grounds one down to first base, and Jones with the overhand toss, and McCutchen just got to the bag in time for the second out. For every home run hit at Citi Field this season, Stuart Rohr and Kinray's Home Runs for Charity program will donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Kinray has donated $43,000 so far in 2010, and Hojo has to explain to Reyes exactly where that ball hit. He rose up in the stands, off a seat or a railing, and right back out of the field. Beltran hit a home run in that similar location earlier on this homestand. Carlos takes ball one. Beltran 2 for 3 tonight, so his fine streak continues over the last 9 games. Now 13 for 33. It's a 394 clip. Both those hits tonight coming as a right-hand batter. And Carlos said again after the game last night that He's using his legs more right-handed. He's just not doing that left-handed yet. You can see the difference. Grounds one to shortstop for Cedeno. And that retires the side. But the Mets tack on a run on Jose Reyes' 10th home run of the year. So the Mets were down 5-0 in this game. Now they lead at 8-5. $10 p.m. Tickets start at $11. Get your seats direct from the Mets at Mets.com. Mike Colford tries for his 15th win tomorrow night. But for now, it's Pedro Feliciano taking the mound for the 7th inning.
Pitched in the first game of the series, pitched an inning, did not give up any runs, struck out about it.
5th pitcher of the night for the Mets after Henry Mejia started and was forced to leave because of injury after 2 1/3. Mejia suffering a muscle strain in the back of his right shoulder. MRI to come. Jose Tabata takes outside ball 1. Tabata drove in a run with a 3rd inning sacrifice fly. Now, if you're wondering why Keith has been so quiet for the last inning or so, the reason is he's not here. He's not in the booth. As Wright throws out Tabata 1-0. We have sent Keith out on a reconnaissance mission just to go out and find stuff in the ballpark. Well, he decided to report from as far away as he possibly could.
Oh, there he is. Hi, Keith.
Hi, guys. Gary, this is in honor of you. This is where you used to sit, I understand, and I figured I'd go to the highest part of the ballpark. I'm here underneath, kind of tucked underneath the scoreboard. I saw Jose Reyes' home run that went over here. I lost it a little bit under the scoreboard, but you've got a row of televisions here that give you the live feed of the ball game, and even give you the live feed when you go to studio and you see Chris Carlin in between commercials. I didn't realize that. So you guys, when it goes to commercial, we don't see that up there. But here you see the live feed of the studio. And really, this is, Garrett, not a bad seat. And it is the highest seat in this ballpark, the highest level. And I see the Apple down there. It's very exciting. And the food court is down there. It looks like Disneyland. And there's a ball game right here. What more do you want? I mean, it's still a wonderful seat. It reminds me of the time, I forget the year, when Oakland first played the Swinging A's in Oakland Coliseum. My brother and I went to the playoff game when they played the Orioles, and the Orioles swept them, and we sat in the upper deck like this. It reminds me of that seat. But you're much lower. You're much lower here, and you get a great view of the ballpark. The only obstructed view really is you can't see a ball off the left field fence. And It's also cold, too. The wind's whipping right through here. I'll let you guys call the game.
Now, that food court's pretty far down. You couldn't call down and have somebody bring you up a Shake Shack burger, could you?
Well, if I was a depressed Met fan, I could end it all right here, really.
Please, no.
Anyway, I'm going to move on to the next. I'm going to get lower. I'm going to be bouncing around the ballpark here and getting a different perspective from different areas around the park. And I just figured, in honor of you, Gary, I would take the upper tank first.
I appreciate that. You know, I sat in a seat similar to that. Obviously, there weren't any upper deck seats in fair territory at Shea Stadium, but a seat very similar to that for the National League Championship Series in 1969. Mets played only one home game in that series, the clincher against the Braves. It was Section 48, the last row over. Not quite at the top like Keith was, but the last seat over about 3 or 4 rows from the top.
Wow.
So I know all about that perspective. But he's right. The upper deck here, the promenade, is much lower than the upper deck was at Shea. Keith is on the move.
Got security. Good.
Oh, he has security with him.
Yes. You got to have security.
That's a good idea.
He's Keith Hernandez. Did you know that?
Well, he's making friends wherever he goes. He's like an ambassador. Is he trolling for votes?
I guess maybe he is.
He's looking resplendent out there. 3-2 to Neil Walker. And he pops one up. Who's going to take it? Tolley with the call. And the catch in fair territory for the second out. He's taking lots of pictures. There are no babies to kiss out there, are there?
I've honestly never seen this before.
Well, he knows we're watching.
Oh, was that what he's doing? Okay, very nice. You know, talking about the upper deck, Gary, in the 2000 World Series Yankees against the Mets, I was doing some stuff for Fox in Los Angeles, and I had my seat, media seat, was the very top back row in Yankee Stadium.
Really?
And I honestly had to leave it. I was having fits of vertigo. I mean, it is as steep can be.
Well, somebody grew up going to Fenway Park. You didn't have upper decks there. Right. Good inning for Pedro Feliciano as Jones pops up to short to end the inning. We're at the 7th inning stretch at Citi Field, 8-5 New York. Tied the game. Rockin gave the Mets the lead in the 5th inning after a couple of errors helped them tie it. In a 7-run 4th, Jose Reyes tacked on a home run in the 6th. And the Mets, who were down 5-0 in this game, lead 8-5 as we go to the bottom of the 7th. David Wright will lead things off against Daniel McCutchen, who starts his 2nd inning of relief. David's 1 for 2 and a walk. takes a strike from McCutcheon. Starter Paul Mahalem went 3 2/3, allowed 7 runs, only 2 of them earned on 7 hits. Chandler Park worked a 1-2-3 fifth, and now McCutcheon in his second inning. Now, where would you guess? We don't know the answer to this yet. Where would you guess he's going to stop next?
Oh, we're getting a clue here, though.
Going across the Shea Bridge. You think he's got a goal in mind? He looks like he's walking very purposefully.
No, he went upper tank. So, is there any other games on? Maybe he's going to go inside the club.
Wright takes a fastball, strike 3 called. So David has struck out for the second time tonight, 149 for the season.
Well, I think it's good Keith is traveling around because he was not enjoying the level of play here sitting in the booth. So this is a better thing.
Well, you know, we would have sent you out rather than Keith, but your footwear might have attracted too much attention.
Very funny story to people at home. One of the reasons I wasn't in the open today because usually I keep a jacket here, and we have our jackets and ties and all that kind of stuff. And I came off the golf course today, so I have a little the golf shoes on, which would not work very well out in the stands. But golf was fun today.
They look fetching.
Golf clothes are kind of funky, I'll tell you.
Saddle shoes used to be very popular.
That's right.
Ike Davis has an RBI double tonight, 1 for 2. Last time up with the bases loaded and 2 out in the 5th with 7 runs already in the inning. He drove one deep to right, and Bowker made a nice catch going back to grab it to keep the Mets from having an even bigger inning. Meanwhile, the Phillies are up 9-3 now on Florida. That's in the bottom of the 6th. As the Phillies look to stretch their lead to 3 games in the NL East. One and 1 to Ike Davis. And the off-speed pitch misses. So Keith, where have you landed now?
Gary, I'm over at the Pepsi porch here. There's not a seat available. I had to sit next to these 2 lovely young ladies here. Do you see me?
I do. There you are. So what's the view from there?
It's a nice backside view of John Bowker. It looks lovely. And that's number 23, his name on his back. This is another great seat right here. I just think it's spectacular. I have never viewed a ball game from this perspective before.
Just to be technical about it, Keith, you're not in the Pepsi porch. You're under the Pepsi
Oh, I'm
porch.
under it? Okay. That's right. I should have. So this is actually nice. This is a really nice seat, it's really basically a first-class bleacher seat if you really think about it.
If you look straight up, you'll see the overhang above you.
I do see it.
There you go.
Yes. So, how are you guys doing up there? You miss me? You do.
Ronnie? Out to left field and a long run for Tabata, and he does a nice job running it down. Boy, Tabata's been very impressive in this series.
Keith, I don't know exactly where you are. Can you see into the bullpen at all now?
You don't know where I'm at?
Well, I know where you are, but I don't know if you can see into the bullpen. Can you? Can you see?
Oh, can I see the bullpen?
Yeah.
No, it's a little difficult.
Okay.
You can stand up, but no, it's out of view. I'm getting surrounded by Met fans.
Did you ask that young lady who does her hair? That's a lovely shade.
Thanks. I was lost for words, Gare. Thanks. That's a good one. I'll try it. But this is another great view, and there's not much more to add. It was a nice little catch in front of that Delta sign.
Nick Evans grounds one foul, and it's 0-2.
Well, this, we're up in the booth. We get the same view all the time from above on high home plate, so it's nice. It reminds me when I was a kid at the ballpark. It's been a long time since I've gone to a game as a spectator and watched, so it's a whole different ball of wax for me. I can see the old Mets sign over here that was above the old Shea Stadium scoreboard, which is the food court to my right.
Let me ask you a question, Keith, because where we sit is always high and behind home plate, and you can really see the pitches. When you sit out there, can you evaluate what's going on between pitcher and batter from so far away and at that kind of an angle?
You can't see the pitches. If a breaking ball breaks down, you can tell it's a breaking ball. But if it's a flat slider, it's going to be tough to identify. You can tell a pitch whether it's inside or outside by the swing.
Coming your way.
And there's a play right in front of me here. It's beautiful. I know. Throw it to me.
You didn't drop that, did you?
All right. I'll move on to that. I'll move on to the next one.
All those gold gloves, we don't want them to break. Eighth inning, Pedro Feliciano, who got the sign out in order in the seventh, stays on for the eighth to face Pedro Alvarez. And Pedro takes a strike from Pedro. Alvarez tripled in a run in the fourth inning. His first big league triple and his only hit in this series. Let's go with the double Feliciano look here in the eighth. Jesus Feliciano is taken over in left field for Nick Evans. Mets were down 5-0 in this game. They scored 7 in the fourth. A Jose Reyes homer in the sixth, 8-5. And Reyes with the easy chance. Alvarez retired, 1 out. Let's check in with Chris Carlin back in the studio. He's got a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. All right, Chris. Now here's John Bowker with 1 out. Bowker is 2 for 3, a single, a double. He's driven in a run. Dan Johnson's trying to have a Troy Tulowitzki day. Wow.
A pair of 2-run homers for the Rays, who lead the Yankees 4-3 in the eighth. Tampa trying to vault back into first place. And the Red Sox trying to make a move on both those teams. Beat Seattle tonight 5-1 behind Clay Buchholz. So the Red Sox will be either 5.5 or 6 out in the wild card when the night is out. Not impossible. I think the most entertaining thing for everybody concerned would be if the Red Sox get close enough that the Yankees and Rays aren't guaranteed admission to the postseason.
That would be the best way. There's the numbers.
6.5 going into the night. If Tampa Bay were to lose, then the Red Sox would be 5.5 out. If the Yankees were to lose, it would be 6. To Bowker, and the breaking ball drops in for a call, third strike. So Pedro has his first strikeout. 5 up and 5 down for Feliciano.
Well, good breaking ball. Starts right at the hip of Bowker. Right down the middle.
So now Feliciano will try and do something he's only done once this year, and that's go 2 full innings. He did that against the Yankees back on June 18th. Ronnie Cedeno standing in his way. Cedeno 1 for 3. He scored a run. Thinks about a bunt and takes ball 1.
For that Boston-Seattle game now with Buchholz getting the win, that puts him back, if he finishes strong, into, I think you have to talk about him with the Cy Young, don't you?
Well, he's been leading the league in ERA for most of the year. 16-7 now. 7 innings, allowed 1 run, 4 hits tonight. Line base hit. Cedeno has his second hit of the game. Hit number 7 for the Pirates, the first off Feliciano. And he won't get the opportunity to complete the second inning of work. Jerry Manuel comes out to get him. And we'll see the Mets' 6th pitcher of the night. Bobby Parnell coming on here in the 8th inning. Oh, look what Keith's doing. He's got a new job. Focus. Focus. He's good at focusing.
I got him.
Patriots game. Tune to SNY for behind-the-scenes access, player reactions, and a complete game breakdown with exclusive on-field interviews and Rex Ryan's post-game comments on Jets Post-Game Live presented by Toyota. Sunday immediately after the Jets-Patriots game, only on SNY. Bobby Parnell on the pitch here in the 8th.
Well, he had a span of 15 games where he did not give up a run, but in his last outing 4 days ago, surrendered a run to the Philadelphia Phillies.
Ryan Dolman pinch hitting for Chris Snyder, who went 0 for 2 in a walk and committed a key error in the Mets' 7-run 4th. And Parnell paints the inside with the fastball, and it's 0-2 to Dolman. The shot on the left is the shot that Keith is giving us as he tries to zero in. Come on, Keith, up a little bit more. Get the head of the
It's not easy.
I guess not. That's why we have trained professionals doing those jobs. Dolman cranks one to center field, hit well. Back goes Beltran to the warning track, and he can't make the play. Around third and on his way home is Cedeno, and in at second with a long double is Dolman. It's now 8-6 New York. Beltran went hard into the fence after that ball went off his glove, but he appears to be okay, maybe a little shaken.
Well, this ball was hit like a shot. Dolman, one of the best hitters for the Pittsburgh Pirates, beat Beltran to the fence. Looked like Beltran had one more step to go. but tried to leap and then brace himself up against that wall and just tipped off the end of his glove.
Well, you know, watching him hit that wall with his shoulder and his head snap, it kind of reminds you in some ways of Jason Bay in Los Angeles, so you have to be a little bit wary about that. So it's a double for Domit, and now the Pirates will get the tying run to the plate, and Delwyn Young comes up to pinch hit. And Young has home run power from both sides of the plate, 7 home runs this year. I think he's getting better. He's got the whole hitter in the frame and everything. Oops. Keep it up, Keith. Young went around, and it's 1-1. Now Keith focusing on the mound.
This is a little murder.
The cameraman, Keith, holding the microphone for our Keith.
Very difficult.
He looks like he'd like to have his camera back.
Exactly. If he stays out there any longer, he'll be in the union talking about quick turnarounds in the press room.
By the way, did we check with the union? Is he actually allowed to handle that camera?
He's Keith. He can do whatever he wants.
That's a good point. We learned that a long time ago. Delwyn Young coming into focus. Two-one from Parnell, and he misses away, and he's behind on Young, 3-1 with Andrew McCutcheon on deck. So not going easily for Parnell. I think Keith has abandoned the camera.
Yes,
that's it. He's done. So, well, we'll put his earpiece back in so he can actually hear us.
Feelings for me.
So, what do you think, Keith? 3-2 now to Young. Not that easy a job, is it?
No, it's not. Not at all, especially with Bill doing all the talking. It's very distracting. Mr. Webb.
You talking in your ear the whole time?
I think it was very appropriate that I was camera number 7, Mickey Mantle.
Very nice.
I didn't hear my number called very much, though.
Now, when you looked in the viewfinder, could you see the ball? What are you trying to pick up there?
Well, Bill wanted me to isolate and do close-ups on the pitcher and the batter, and so I didn't see much of the game. So I was tight on the tight shots on the players, so you don't see a lot of the game. But I can't imagine these guys, the cameramen have to follow the ball and follow the action and stay focused on the players. That's murder, let me tell you. And trust me, I have not had a drink. I was bobbing and weaving on that camera.
Now, we watched you.
I'm as sober as a judge.
We watched you trying to get the hitter in the frame. Now, what's the hardest part about that? Is it keeping the camera straight? Is it getting the focus right? What's the hardest part?
Well, there's a line around the viewer, whatever you want to call it, and I the viewfinder, and I don't know what's inside what. So I'm inexperienced. I don't know. So I just listened to Bill. Bill would say tilt up, tilt down, a little bit left, a little bit right, focus. You know, it was a constant stream of information. I overloaded.
Kind of like having a good hitting coach.
I'm going to go up to the Sella Club next after this.
You're not too exhausted.
Oh, what is it? Oh, it's the top of the 8th already? Good. So that was an experience. It was fun. I always wanted to do that. But I wanted to do Al's camera number 2. That looks so easy.
Well, Keith looks like he's happy to have his camera back from you. This will be the 9th pitch of the at-bat to Young, as Parnell struggling to get out here in the 8th.
He's up on the count to Ryan Domit and made a pitch too fat. And now Delwyn Young, who always takes a tough at-bat, working Bobby Parnell.
And Young goes down on the slider. And Parnell finally puts an end to the inning. Pirates get a run closer, 8-6 New York. He's the oldest player to win the MVP award, and this is one that Keith should know because, well, he shared it with Pops, who was 39 when he got half an MVP award in 1979. New battery for the Pirates in the bottom of the 8th. Ryan Doman stays in the game to catch, and Chris LaRue, who just joined the Pirates yesterday, already making his second appearance.
Pop Stargell with 2 World Series championships in 71 and 79. 21-year career, 475 home runs, 7 of them in postseason, 7-time All-Star, and 1,540 RBIs.
Here's a great trivia question as Joel Hanrahan gets up in the bullpen. When Keith and Willie Stargell tied for the MVP in 1979, what was the rest of the top 5?
Wow, 1979. Pete Rose in there?
Nope.
Mike Schmidt?
Nope. There's a guy you played with in the top 5. Josh Tolley leading off in the bottom of the 8th, out to center field. 1 pitch, and McCutcheon squeezes it 1 away.
Oh, not Kidd, was he?
Nope.
Mazzo?
What's that?
Mazzo?
There are the co-MVPs from 1979. Stargell's team won it. Keith had the more impressive numbers in most categories.
How about 105 RBIs and 11 home runs? Wow.
Ruben Tejada 0 for 3 tonight. Well, number 3 in the balloting that year as Takahashi gets ready for the save opportunity was Dave Winfield.
Okay.
Playing for the Padres. Number 4 was Larry Parrish with the Expos.
That's right. Third baseman.
And number 5 was also a third baseman who you played with later.
Ray Knight.
Exactly.
Wow.
Ray Knight, 5th in the MVP balloting in 1979.
Very nice.
Chris Carter out on deck to pinch hit. If the Mets win this game, it'll be the 3rd time this year that the Mets will have come from 5 runs down to win a game. That's the largest deficit they've overcome this year. Mets were down 5-0 going to the bottom of the 4th when they scored 7 runs off Paul Maholm to take the lead, and they've been ahead ever since.
Only 3 of their runs are earned tonight, right?
If you just joined us, Henry Mejia lasted 2 1/3, then had to leave because of injury. Henry suffered a strained muscle behind his right shoulder, and he is being evaluated with an MRI. And we'll get more news on that, but certainly not a good thing for Henry Mejia leaving with a shoulder issue.
Probably get that MRI tomorrow, so maybe by tomorrow night's game we'll have a little more information for you.
So there's every chance that Henry Mejia's third start this year will be his last. Just 16 games to go in the regular season after tonight. Tejada fouls it off. Chris LaRue, the Canadian from Montreal. It's LaRue.
That's right. Well, it's either Montreal when you have that name or Louisiana.
There's ball 4, and Tejada's on with a 1-out walk. Let's check in with Gary Apple, who has a preview of what's coming up tonight on Geico Sports Night.
All right, Gary, thanks so much. Coming up tonight, not every day, Tom Brady takes a shot at the Patriot fans while saying something nice about the Jet fans. We'll have that, plus look around the National League East. Roy Halladay on the bump for the Phils. See you guys tonight.
All right, Gary, we'll stay tuned for that later on. Chris Carter will pinch hit. Batting for Bobby Parnell. You see the score in Florida. The Phillies with a comfortable lead on the bottom of the 8th. Phillies trying to go 3 games up on the Braves in the East.
Now, normally that'd be a pretty big lead this late, but like you said, they've had 6 more games against each other.
Not really pulling off that ball.
This kid has good stuff. You know, when you see these young pitchers come in and they're dealing, and you say to yourself, boy, how did this guy get claimed off waivers, and why is he not better? Fine line, I guess. A lot of great arms, a fine line between having a successful one.
LaRue's 26 now. He's out of Winthrop University in Rock Hill, South Carolina. Right near Charlotte, just across the border. So a lot of basketball games at Winthrop in my day.
Yeah. Been up and down the whole eastern seaboard with your travels.
I've seen every bit of South Carolina, I can tell you that.
I know. When I said that we used to play at Yale at Francis Marion, another attempt at first base, he knew exactly where it was.
Florence, South Carolina. Home of the Florence Blue Jays. I saw Cecil Fielder playing for the Florence Blue Jays. Wow, that's a long time ago. Double play ball. Walker with the flip, and Cedeno with the turn, and off the bag comes Jones, and safe at first base is Carter. Well, the Pirates have played some horrific defense tonight. This one looked like they had an inning-ending double play. Jones couldn't stay on the bag.
I don't even think it's that, Gary. He just didn't catch the baseball. I mean, this ball hits him in the glove, and he doesn't close it.
Well, they say you can't assume a double play, but the scorer can charge an error on that, failing to catch the ball to complete a double play. So we'll see if he does. It goes a 4-6 force on Tejada. So the inning is prolonged, and now Reyes. No error charged on the play. Reyes drove a home run into the Mo zone, right about where Keith was later sitting.
That's right.
This one grounded down to Jones. This one he handles cleanly, and Reyes is retired to end the inning. Now Takahashi will come on to pitch the 9th as the Mets look for their 3rd straight win. proud sponsor of the New York Mets on SNY. Eat fresh. Tomorrow the Mets hand the ball to Mike Pelfrey as they close out their 4-game series against the Pirates here at Citi Field. Mets Pirates coverage begins with Subway pregame live tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. only on SNY. Here's Mercedes probables for tomorrow. Pelfrey coming off a fine performance for his 14th win in his last outing up against the beleaguered Charlie Morton. Connecticut native pitching close to home tomorrow night.
Takahashi has been outstanding. 6 for 6 in his save opportunities, and in the first game on Monday night, 2 innings of scoreless relief got him the win.
Andrew McCutchen leads off and drives one deep toward the left field corner and out of here. The first pitch thrown by Takahashi, and McCutchen turns it around for his 14th home run of the year, and the Mets' lead is trimmed to 8-7. Third RBI of the night for McCutchen. That gives him 50 for the year out of the leadoff spot.
Well, sometimes they tell you if you're too behind to take a pitch, but not Andrew McCutchen. Jumped right on that first pitch fastball from Takahashi. Line drive shot out of here.
So now it's a 1-run game. And Jose Tabata will step in. Tabata 0 for 3 and a sacrifice fly.
You see the ILTV pitch differential supposed to be down and away, and it is inside up.
McCutchen turned it inside out. Good changeup by Takahashi, and he's ahead on top of the 0-2. With Neil Walker and Garrett Jones to follow for the Pirates. The Mets were down 5-0, up 8-5, but the Pirates with a run in the 8th and now a run here in the 9th have made it 8-7. And Tabata down swinging, and Takahashi has the first down in the 9th.
He'll add, he'll subtract, looking for a changeup. He'll throw the fastball right by you, and that's what happened to Tabata.
So 1 out, and now Walker, who's looking for his first hit in this series, came into the series with an 18-game hitting streak, but 0 for 9 in these 3 games, including 0 for 4 tonight. He's hit 1 ball hard, lined out to David Wright back in the 3rd. David Wright playing right on the line against Walker here to try and cut down on the possibility of a double. Fastball strike, and it's 1-1. Right after Keith and Ron and I are done here, it's Lincoln Mercury post-game live. Chris Carlin and Bobby Ojeda will have all the highlights, all the analysis, and all the interviews. Lincoln Mercury post-game live right after the game right here on SNY. And hopefully we'll learn a little more about Henry Mejia's injury. Out to right field, and Pagan is there. And there are 2 men down. So after the home run by McCutchen, Takahashi bounces back to get the next 2. And now the Pirates are down to their final out of the night with Garrett Jones coming to the plate.
Garrett Jones has been their best hitter, Gary.
1 for 4 tonight, 5 for 13 in this series. But facing the left-hander here. Mets have used 7 pitchers tonight, with Mejia forced to leave because of injury in the 3rd. Raul Valdez is pitcher of record on the long side. Even though Valdez gave up 4 runs and 4 hits in an inning and 2/3 of relief. Mish, Descends, Feliciano, Parnell, and Takahashi have followed. One 1-0 to Garrett Jones. And he rips one foul. Ball on a strike. If Jones keeps it going, Pedro Alvarez would be next. Now the 1-1. And it stays inside. 2 balls and a strike. Joey Manuel using 7 pitchers tonight. Mets have not done that before in a 9-inning game this season. And now it's 2-2 to Jones. And the Pirates are down to their final strike. That was the best pitch he was going to have to hit in this at bat. Talking to himself.
Takahashi missing a little bit with his location. You don't usually see that. All he needs is one more, though. Change up away and down.
He struck him out, and the ball game is over. Isunori Takahashi, with a couple of strikeouts in the 9th, preserves the victory despite giving up the home run to McCutchen. And the Mets, on the strength of a 7-run 4th inning, beat the Pirates 8-7. And for the first time in nearly 3 months, the Mets have put together a 3-game winning streak.
They've won 3 in a row for Jerry Manuel and also have gotten back to 500 with their record at now 73-73. 7 for 7 in saves is Takahashi. And with the many gifts for the Pittsburgh Pirates in that 4th inning, the Mets get a win.
Jose Reyes with a home run, his 10th of the year. That proves to be the difference in the game. Offsetting the home run by McCutchen in the 9th. As you look at the game summary, the Mets with 7 runs on 6 hits in the 4th inning, helped out by a couple of errors. 5 of the runs were unearned. No matter. Angel Pagan had the go-ahead hit, and then Reyes with the home run to stretch the final margin. And the Mets win it 8-7, and they've taken the first 3 games of this series. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by IOTV. Get the best in HD free with IOTV. By Rums of Puerto Rico, the rum capital of the world. By BJ's Wholesale Club. Join John Franco this Saturday at the Flushing BJ's, located at 131-07 40th Road, from noon to 1 p.m. for a meet and greet and a chance to win Mets tickets, courtesy of BJ's, Tide, and Downey. By Budweiser. By Hyundai, with quality that lets them offer America's best warranty, 10 years, 100,000 miles. By Raymore and Flanagan, furnishing your style. And by Toyota, it's the Now's the Time sales event at your Toyota dealer. Hurry, offers end soon. Tomorrow night, the Mets go for the 4-game sweep of the Pirates, with Mike Pelfrey trying for his 15th win against Charlie Morton. Coverage begins right here on SNY tomorrow night at 6:30 with the final game of this 4-game series. Mets win tonight 8-7 for their 3rd straight win. Now for Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling, Kevin Burkhardt, and our entire SNY crew, I'm Gary Cohen. Time for Lincoln Mercury post-game live. Let's join Chris Carlin and Bobby Ojeda.